Chapter 15. Forfeit. Forfeit. The word did not enter Orren's ears. It entered his throat. He felt it there first, cold and narrow, a line drawn across the place where sound became song. His mouth was open. Blood was on his tongue. Evara's hand had just vanished from the space in front of his, close enough that the warmth of her almost touch still lived between his fingers. Then the house spoke its word. Forfeit. Orren tried to sing through it. The first note tore out of him like cloth caught on a nail. No beauty, no shape, only refusal. The path buckled under his knees. Red-white lines crossed his chest where he had struck the broken terms, and they held him back with no more thickness than thread. He pressed both hands against them. They did not cut his palms. That would have been kinder. They simply refused him. Evara slid backward down the darkening path, pulled by the house's unseen claim. Her torn bandage streamed from one wrist. Her hair lifted in a wind he could not feel. Her face was turned toward him, mouth open, eyes furious with fear. Orren! His name reached him. The terms tightened. He sang anyway. He sang because she was there, because she had been there, because she had followed. And he had turned, and now the house was taking her for the shape of his fear. He sang because if he stopped, then the last true thing between them would be the moment his hand failed to close around hers. He sang the low beam, the old room, the bad rafter, Mara's pot, Torv's wrapped fingers tapping the table, the boy under the bench pretending to sleep, Evara by the door, not clapping, listening too closely for him to survive it. The sound came out wrong. The room, in memory, did not warm. No shoulders lowered. No cups paused. No breath gathered. He pushed harder. His throat opened inside. Something tore in it. Not flesh only, though flesh tore too. Blood filled his mouth and spilled over his lower lip. He tasted iron, salt, and river cold. Evara stopped sliding for half a breath. Only half. Her hands clawed at the stone. Her fingers found no purchase. The house drew her back inch by inch. The red lines around Orren flared. Forfeit? Accepted. No, he said. The word was voice, not song. Not enough. He reached inside himself for the place where songs began before words, the small hidden chamber behind the ribs. The first hum he had ever made as a hungry child, because quiet had frightened him. The part of him that could take a room's sorrow and give it a shape people could hold without cutting themselves. He found it. For one breath, he found it. There was the little note he had never sung aloud for anyone but Evara. Not even fully for her. A private turn, half melody, half wanting. It belonged to the way she looked when she pretended not to smile, to the patched seam at her sleeve, to the field in fog, to the blue string he had tied to her basket, because foolish things were easier to find in the dark. He reached for that note. The house reached too. Orren's song became a thing with weight. He felt the house take hold of it, not by sound, by root. Every song he had ever carried tightened inside him at once. The tavern songs, the winter tunes, the donkey verse, the little hum he used to settle babies, the half-written Camarath melody he had been ashamed to want, the rough anchor song he had thrown across the deck in the storm, the blood-broken harmony he had shared with Malin before Tharos, the question he had sung to Evara in Volos's chamber. All of them drew inward. Threads pulled through the eye of a needle. Orren screamed. This time the scream carried no music. That was the first loss. The world did not lean. The path did not tremble for him. The records did not hesitate. The dark did not open. Evara did not move closer. He screamed again. And it was only a man's throat breaking around pain. Evara heard. He saw that she heard. Her face changed more terribly than if he had vanished. Orren, stop! The words reached him through the lines, through the dark, through the house's cold machinery. Stop. He had heard her say that before. Below deck, in the little room, with the too small window, after he hummed, and her shoulders lowered without her consent. Stop. He had not learned fast enough. The house pulled. Something left him. Not the sound in his mouth. Not yet. Something below that. The note that lived before breath. It went out of him like a light taken from a room, and carried beyond a door. He reached for it with everything he had left, but his own body had become unfamiliar territory. His chest still moved. His lungs still dragged air. His tongue still shaped blood and words. But the inner place was empty. No, not empty. Worse. Ordinary. He tried to hum Evara's name. Only breath came. Flat, wet, broken breath. The loss struck him so hard he forgot the lines holding him. He dropped forward onto both hands. The red-white terms crossed his back, pressing him down. His injured arm collapsed beneath him. His shoulder hit the stone. Pain should have filled him. There was too much absence for pain to reach the edges. Evara was farther away now. The path behind her had become corridors. He saw them opening and closing around her. Record drawers. Black stone, blue fire through cracks, the flash of a leaf-carved door. The room where she had stood with one hand on a chair that was not his to resent, and could not be blamed for existing. She was being taken into the house, not thrown, not dragged like prey, claimed like a line entered correctly after argument. That was worse. "Orren!" she called again. He tried to answer. Her name formed in his mouth. Evara. It did not go anywhere. The word fell between his teeth and the stone. No thread carried it. No warmth. No reaching. No room turned toward it. It was only sound, and the failure of sound. Evara's eyes widened, as if she felt the difference too. He tried again. Evara. Nothing. He clawed forward. The red lines tightened around him. One crossed his throat now, not touching the skin, but resting inside the space where his song had been. The house had not needed to cut him. It had found the more exact wound. From somewhere beyond the collapsing path, Volos's voice came. Not loud, not angry. Forfeit accepted. Orren struck the line at his throat with both hands. His fingers passed through nothing and hit his own skin. He dug in until nails broke flesh. "Give it back." The dark did not answer. "Give it back." His voice cracked. No power, no resonance. No boy from the low beam who could make hunger laugh. No singer on a ship who could anchor men to their bodies. No son of Malin who could harmonize with a dead mother at a gate. Only Orren Keld, bleeding on a path he had broken. The house began to close. The distance between him and Evara folded in pieces, not shortening, ending. Whole stretches of path vanished, as if they had never been allowed to exist. Evara stumbled backward when the floor changed under her. Her good hand struck a wall. The stone warmed under her palm. Even now, even as it took her, it warmed. Jealousy rose in him, absurd and sick. The house answered her touch. He had not. No, he had answered with fear, with song, with pull. Evara pushed herself upright. Her burned hand hung open at her side, unbandaged now, pale and raw in the blue-black light. She looked at him across the closing dark. No farewell sat ready in her face. There was too much left. That was the cruelty. He had thought death made endings large. It did not. It cut people in the middle of ordinary sentences and left all the rest trapped in the body. Her mouth formed words. He could not hear them. The house had begun taking sound too. He saw only the shape. I was there, maybe, or stop, or Orren. He would never know. The red line around his throat tightened. A mark burned under his tongue. Orren gagged and pressed one hand to his mouth. The taste of river water returned, cold and clean and terrible. The river had filed his need. The house now stamped the file shut. Something wrote itself inside him, not on skin, not on bone, Deeper, a line of law, drawn through the part of him that would one day cross death. He felt it circle his soul like a wire around a wounded branch. Failed return bargain. Song forfeit. Reunion unguaranteed. He did not know the words fully, but he felt their shape. Even death would not be a road he could trust. That understanding broke something quieter than song. His body had been holding one last comfort without asking his permission. If all else failed, if the path closed, if Volos kept her, if Orren crawled out alone, there would still be death some day. All men went below. All songs ended. He could die, and perhaps dying would take him where love could not. The mark took that from him. Not even death. Orren made a sound too small for the size of the wound. Iron appeared at the edge of the collapsing path. Not ahead, not behind, to the side, where the old road must have still clung to one broken seam. His face had gone white, the boyishness stripped clean from it. One hand was outstretched, but not toward Evara, toward Orren. No, Orren said. He did not know whether he meant help or refusal. Iron stepped closer and hit an invisible boundary. The impact drove him back a pace. His cloak snapped in a wind that did not touch Orren. "Iron!" Orren shouted. "Open it!" The road wing looked at the space where Evara was disappearing, then at Orren. His mouth worked once. No joke came. "I cannot." "Open it." "I cannot." "You mean you will not." Iren's face twisted. "No," he said. "I mean cannot. There are words even roads obey." Orren crawled toward him because he could not crawl toward her. "Then break them." "I cannot." "You brought me here." "Yes." "You opened the road." "Yes." "Open this one." "There is no road there now." Orren's hand found Iron's ankle. For one instant, he gripped something solid. Living? Divine? It did not matter. A body, a witness, a thing not yet taken by the house. "Please," Orren said. Iron looked down at him. The pain in the god's face was not enough. Nothing could be enough. "I am sorry," Iron said. Orren released him as if burned. "Do not spend sorrow on me. You gods count it badly." The words were ugly. Good. Let them be ugly. The path behind Evara folded again. Now she stood within a doorway of blue fire. Volos was not visible, but the light belonged to him. The house behind her had become chamber and record and shadow. Hel and Nim were not there, or Orren could not see them. Only Evara, framed by the place that held her. She looked very small. No, she looked exactly herself. And the house looked large. There was a difference. She raised her burned hand, not reaching now, showing it. Open palm, empty. His chest caved inward. She had followed by her own steps. She had paused by her own breath. He had turned by his own fear. He had sung by his own need. The record would know. Would it? Would anyone above? Would the world sing that she had failed to follow, that he had loved too much, that a woman was lost because she hesitated, that a man's backward glance was romance instead of mistrust? No, he tried to stand. The lines forced him down again. "Write it," he rasped. Iren crouched. "What?" Orren's eyes stayed on Evara. Write that she was there. Iren went still. The blue fire around Evara flickered. Perhaps she heard. Perhaps the house did. Perhaps both. A drawer opened somewhere in the dark with a sound like a held breath becoming paper. Evara's face changed. The distance was too great now for him to read it clearly. But he thought, for one heartbeat, that she understood. Then the doorway closed. Evara vanished. No sound, no final cry. No hand almost touching his. Only the place where she had been. Blue light fading into black stone. Orren stared. The red lines around him released. He fell forward. His forehead struck the path. Stone became water. Water became void. Void became wind. The outward path tore itself apart beneath him, not in pieces, but in meanings. Floor forgot it had been floor. Walls forgot direction. The grey arch ahead burst into light and then went dark. The house expelled him, the way a body expelled poison, not with hatred, but because keeping him violated its own law. He rolled through blackness. Orren shouted somewhere, or perhaps Orren did. The mark under his tongue burned. His throat opened around a song that was not there. He reached for Evara's note. The private one? The foolish one. The one that had lived under every verse. Since the low beam, nothing answered. He fell upward. For one suspended breath, he saw the gate from inside. Bone pillars. Taros's dark center eyes. The river beyond carrying names. Malin's feather turning in a little fire and refusing to burn. He reached toward the feather, without knowing why. It became a hand. Malin's hand. No, Evara's. No, his own. Empty. Then the last house closed. Orren hit living ground hard enough to break the breath from him. Rain struck his face. Real rain. It landed. It ran. It entered his mouth, and his body swallowed because bodies wanted to live even when the person inside them had lost every argument. He lay on his back under a grey sky and opened his mouth. To call her, to sing her name into the world until something answered. Only breath came out, a torn, ordinary sound. Orren landed beside him a moment later, harder than a god should have needed to. He went to one knee, one hand braced in the mud, the other reaching for Orren and stopping short. Orren? Orren turned his head. The world tilted around the motion. Grass, stone, rain, a black opening in the earth several paces away, shrinking as he watched. Old road marks fading from the ground. Orren's face above him, wet now, finally wet, hair plastered to his forehead. Behind Orren, the opening sealed. No seam, no door, no road. Orren looked at it until rain blurred it from him. Then he tried to hum. Nothing. He tried again. Nothing. His mouth filled with rainwater and blood. Orren closed his eyes. Orren understood then that the god had known before he did how final the wound was. Rage came, too late to be useful. He rolled onto his side and clawed at the mud, dragging himself toward the vanished road. His fingers sank into wet earth. Grass tore under his nails. Open it. Orren's voice came behind him. Orren, open it! There is no. Orren lunged at him. His body failed before anger reached its target. He collapsed half across Orren's knees, shaking so violently his teeth struck together. Orren caught him. This time, Orren had no strength to pull away. He hated that more than the rain. More than pain. Less than silence. Give it back, Orren whispered. Orren's arms tightened. He did not ask what. Good. If he had asked, Orren might have killed him for the mercy of not knowing. I cannot, Orren said. Orren pressed his forehead into the wet cloth at Orren's shoulder. The sound that left him was not song, not speech, not even weeping at first. It was the body discovering that grief did not need music to become unbearable. Rain fell harder. The earth drank it. The sealed road stayed sealed. And inside Orren, where song had once lived like a small hidden fire, there was only the cold outline of a door he could no longer open.
Rain on the sill, salt in the flame. When the door goes quiet and the room lets go, lay the last word gently where the dark runs slow.
There is still a road under ash, under rain,
there is still a voice trying not to break. Carry the song through the dark and the foam. Carry the name when the cold calls home. Leave one small light where the lost can remain. I will find you by listening. You will know me by name. Rain on the sill, salt in the flame. The door goes quiet. Carry